And in my path, there was the concept of reincarnation. And since some years, I'm more than practicing, like you say, I'm trying to be. And in the concept of being and awareness, so in the I am a bit now curious about liberation. So the moment that the soul or the I am comes back to God, comes back to the universal awareness, how it disperses itself in the awareness. And
Viviana, the soul or the individual self doesn't come back to universal awareness, because no individual awareness ever left universal awareness in the first place. When this building is demolished, as one day it will be, the space in this room won't suddenly go back to being the universal space. It is already that. It won't go anywhere. When the individual, when the body dies, the being that we essentially are won't go anywhere. It won't reincarnate because it was never incarnate or in the body in the first place. It won't reunite with infinite being because it never stood as a separate being apart from infinite being in the first place.
Yeah,
Your
this is
being
becoming
is
clear.
God's being. There is only infinite being or God's being. That there is no individual being ever emerged out of God's being and existed as a second being in its own right, and no finite being will ever go back to God's being.
Yeah, this is becoming, the fog is coming away, so it's starting to become clear. But then the second question, implicit, is then the life experience give the total awareness some more physical knowledge, physical experience, or is just, so why do we take a body? Why we create this limitation of the body around us?
As I explained earlier, in order to know objective experience, consciousness must assume the position of a subject.
Yes, this is clear.
It's only possible to know an object from the perspective of a subject. So in order to realize its infinite potential in form, in order to manifest in form, to perceive itself in form, consciousness has to localize itself as a finite mind. And the body is an image of that finite mind. The body is how that finite mind looks from the perspective of another finite mind. Remember William Blake, the body is that portion of the mind that is discernible to the five senses. So when you look inside yourself, you don't experience a body, you experience mind, thinking, feeling, sensing, perceiving. But when I look at you, I don't see a bundle of thinking, feeling, sensing, and perceiving. I view the bundle of thinking, feeling, sensing, and perceiving that you are through my perceiving faculties. And as a result, you appear to me as a body. So what you experience on the inside as mind, thinking, feeling, sensing, and perceiving, appears from my perspective as a physical body. So your body, your physical body is how the localization of consciousness appears from the perspective of another localized mind. Why is it necessary to assume for infinite consciousness to assume the form of a finite mind? It's not necessary. But if it doesn't do so, it just remains formless with itself. It wants to know or realize its infinite potential in form. It has to localize itself as a finite mind in order to perceive that form.
Okay, it's becoming clear. I mean, I'm coming from 30 years of a different perspective, and I have glimpses of this. The I am, it was always clear for me, and the recognition of the self-consciousness and God united. No, we are not separated. We are one in the sense of oneness. This is totally clear. It's just the process of liberation that was for me still a bit.
Viviana, only something that is bound needs to be liberated. Look at yourself, not the self that you seem to be, your thoughts, feelings, sensations, and perceptions, but the self that you essentially are, and see if it is bound. See if it needs to be liberated. See if it is endarkened and thus needs to be enlightened. Find out that first, and then think about liberation if you need to.